I'm not gonna say anything more about the project because I'm pretty sure that it's part of your presentation, Ferdi, but I want to introduce to William Mullally, who is the arts and culture editor for The National. He's gonna do an introduction and moderate the conversation after Ferdi's presentation. So please give a warm welcome to William Mullally.
Good evening, everyone. Yes, and I'm very excited that we have Ferdi here to talk about this. I'm sure you've all taken in either his installation here in the digital area as well as the amazing MotherEarth AI data sculpture outside. I think he is a pioneer, Ferdi, at the intersection of data science and arts and continuing to redefine what that means and how that will continue to evolve and making sure that there's an intentionality and a message behind each work that he does. And I'm very excited to welcome him to the stage to tell you a bit more about that, show you some of his projects, and then we will dive into the nitty-gritty about the humanity behind these amazing immersive installations. So please join me in welcoming Ferdi Alici to the stage.
Hello everyone, thank you so much. I am so happy to be here the second time. I really love to Dubai, and every time it's an amazing experience with the amazing community. And thank you Gonzalo for the amazing invitation. It was the amazing opportunity also sharing to our know-how with the people. The entire presentation starting with the quiet, because this is exactly represented our mindset. The most beautiful thing we can experience is the mystery. It is the source of all true art and all science from the Albert Einstein. I'm going to give to the formal a couple of information. Then after that, I'm going to give to the much more personal and deeply information for each project. We won a couple of awards like a Red Dot Design Award, ADIS Award, German Design Award, International Design Award, Asia Design Award from Seoul, New York, Germany, Los Angeles. And all that awards are so prestige and proof of the unique artworks. We already created more than 75 art pieces around the world for 75 cities and countries, last more than 15 years around. But it's not one-man show, of course. More than 45 people working as an in-house team in Istanbul. And the team consists of very talented from AI artists, engineers, academicians, coders, data scientists, architects, and all that people seeing one vision for making hybrid public art. We had a chance to collaborate with the world respectful scientific institutions around the world like SpaceX, NASA, CERN, SAT Montreal, Mori Museum Tokyo, Singapore Art Science Museum. And also we work with we collaborate with the festivals like a Coachella Festival, Light Festivals, White Night Melbourne, Barcelona Light Festival, Signal Light Festival, and also brand side, of course. We collaborate with the brands who is interesting in new media fields like a Bulgari, Hennessy, F1, Ferrari, Mercedes, Audi, and Nike. Actually, for the last 17 years, we're trying to integrate art, science, and technology inside of the public spaces in a poetic way. We already used every type of the audiovisual technology in the world, like AR, VR, XR projectors, LED screens, custom-made audiovisual equipments. But we are not technology-based studio, actually we are idea-based, so it means the idea always comes first, and we're trying making happen that idea according to exist technology. But generally the technology is not enough for making happen that unique idea, so we have to hack the technology. And then also we strictly integrate the data more than 15 years. And the data coming from the different universes, we already integrated more than 100 different data archives. Sometimes data coming from brain, sometimes coming from underground, sometimes coming from space, sometimes coming from the two subatomic particle collides movements. So our artistic practice is understanding to the cosmos and hidden universes, and also understanding our existence. What does it mean to be an artist 21st century with AI and technology? That's the fundamental question. And during that process, we try to transform every space, architectural place, as a poetic, immersive experiences. Even we can use the air as a canvas. So Basically, this is Ouchhh. And last 15 years around, this is our main motto, data as a paint, algorithm as a brush. So it means we have the same mindset like a 500 years ago painters, like a Van Gogh, Michelangelo, but our tools are very different in this century, but the mindset same. So that was the main question, understanding to the new media fields and understanding to the behind the art purposes. When we realize AI is not tool for us, actually AI is a kind of the collaborator, a kind of the friend for us, and there is a endlessly ping-pong moment between us. So the artistic satisfaction behind the build a very complex experiential creative pipeline. According to the commission artwork with the patronage city of the Milan, we collected data more than 20,000 paints from the 342 painters, Italian painters, and we created the world's first 360 AI data sculpture, Heart of the Milan. That was the interesting thing. We tried to create a kind of the portal and transform to that monumental installation as a portal, and that portal showing to the future of the art in the same time. And also the data from nature, we really love to integrate the different type of the climate change, the data inside of the art creative pipeline. For example, this one is the permanent art piece in the Beijing. We collected data from last 40 years climate change data from the Beijing city. We built this 2022 in publicly. So our aim was taking attention from the people using the universal language of the math and art, and is transforming to poetic sculpture in publicly. We had a chance to create another version of the artwork on the Burj Khalifa, by the way, using to the Dubai's the climate change data. That was the World Guinness record because the 8 times we featured on the Burj Khalifa. And also for the scientific part, we really love to transform the cities as an artist. That was the 1 month installation, the surface on the Art Science Museum. We created the MotherEarth as a series, and that series actually the changing according to city, and this one is for the Singapore city. According to that installation, it was the 1 month installation, and we collected data from the city population, traffic, carbon emission, and every environmental data, and transformed the poetic sculpture in publicly. For every night, the hundreds and 100,000 people experience it, and this is a nice moment, giving the idea how they can understand our earth, saying something to us with the art, and we are the source of the entire that situation, and there is only a solution will come from our side. So that's why we are trying to create that kind of the art pieces. Another data from macro space, 2 subatomic particle collide moment. This is a long-term collaboration and research project with the CERN. The CERN is the world's biggest particle collider place, and we had a chance to work with the world's best machine learning professors from NYU, MIT, and Harvard for this project. Right now we are seeing actually the machine perception from the 2 subatomic particle collides moment as a universe. And also quantum physics, we really love to integrate the scientific data inside of our installations. This one is the featured on TEDx CERN. We use the quantum data for the installation. It was the 2020. We created 20-meter diameter version in White Night, Melbourne. More than 500,000 people experienced it just one night. Or data from underground. So you can understand the last more than 15 years, we're trying to understand the secret cosmos in a scientific way and transform the poetic installation with the different scales. For example, this one is the Petra Jordan. We received the invitation from the government, and that was one of my childhood dream, by the way. It's so amazing place. If you want to see the installation, you have to walk in the night 20 minutes without any lights. Then after that, you can access to that installation. We collected data from the Nebatis. That data, it was so rich because, and diversity was amazing. because you can see the different type of the cultures inside of their culture, like Greeks, Egyptian, African. And the interesting point of this artwork, the name, statement, sound, and the content, for every field we collaborate with the different type of the AI algorithms. But as you see, this is a cinematic experience, not contemporary art. I mean, from the beginning to end, there's a cinematic storytelling, and you can understand the connection between that historical elements. And then after that, we received the invitation from the Grand Egyptian Museum. We created a kind of the large language model for them, language of the gods. That was the interesting point, because me and Eylül, our creative director, last 15 years we are working together, and we have a son, and our son name is Ra. So you can understand how we obsessively interested in Egyptian culture. That was another my dream, to create something, but it's not just the art. The art also can be a tool for the scientists. So right now we are working to the second phase of this artwork. The first one is this one we install inside of the Grand Egyptian Museum. When we finish the large language model, for example, you are scientists and archaeologists, you found some stone tablets, and some hieroglyphs disappears because of the time issue, and our AI algorithm and art piece can feel it and show the possibilities. And also you can make the research inside of the 6,000 years in the different type of the latent spaces, and AI can find some enigmas which is hiding behind that hieroglyphs. This is so excited project for me, and we will publish the new version in this fall. But I think one of the famous one, this one, we created world's biggest AI exhibition in Paris 2018, Atelier des Lumières. That was the 3,500 square meter. We used the 146 projectors in one hall. 2018, it means there is no ChatGPT, there is no Midjourney, Runway, nothing. So we had to create our own machine learning algorithm. We created a kind of the library from the famous scientist books like Einstein, Hawking, and Galileo, who changed the destiny of the world. And the AI starting to create own scientific book. It was amazing approach for us. It was so humble and naive project in the beginning with a very small team. But when we published it at Atelier des Lumières, we suddenly became famous. We featured on newspaper everywhere, and 1 million people experienced buy tickets in 9 months, it was the huge capital, by the way, for the company. But interesting thing happened after the exhibition. The Mission Impossible director saw our installation, and then they wanted to integrate the latest Mission Impossible movie. It was the first time in the Hollywood's history the AI new media artwork integrated the movie in a meaningful way. Not just the decorative background, it was also part of the story. If you watch the video, there's an entity, that entity chasing the Tom Cruise during the entire movie, and made by us. And you can see our names and credits, but literally end credits before the logo. And so and then we're thinking about how we can merge the machine brain and human brain in real time. So we received the invitation from the Saadiyat Cultural District for Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi right now changed the entire city experience with that island. They already built the Lure Abu Dhabi, Guggenheim Abu Dhabi on the way, and then Team Lab Curiosity. So we created art piece for them, real-time generated. For each the big brains behind that creation, we made the interview. And during their interview, it was the real-time art pieces happening behind them with their brainwaves. And then maybe Oprah can explain better than me.
Saadiyat Cultural District
Sound a little bit.
is a journey into the heart of curiosity and creativity. But what if I told you we're about to see this passion transform into data murals, presenting a rare glimpse into their minds and what moves them?
Yeah, we almost shoot the 50% around for this campaign. We built the 6 times in Los Angeles, New York, London, and Abu Dhabi. And then the interesting campaign, the first time that kind of the campaign directed by that kind of the art piece. And the last project I would like to share with you. Every project starting with the big question in our studio. For this project, can we create an artistic self-portrait of humanity with AI? Right now, you can put that prompt with any AI algorithm, and you can get the very fancy and eye candy pictures, right? But what if we can fit the AI with the scientific data? So we collected data from the Human Cell Atlas project 2016. More than 2,000 institutes around the world came together, and their aim was create one of the biggest data archives about the human body. 37.2 trillion human cells we used for this artwork. So there were too many challenges. We had to face it to create that art piece, because the very large scale amount of data, and there are different type of the approach using the different type of the algorithms. We already used every type of the open source algorithms. Also, we created our own AI algorithm made by Python coding. During that process, we always sharing our know-how and data journeys on the online in publicly. It's so transparent. So if you are familiar computer science or that kind of the fields, you can understand to what kind of the data we are integrating, what kind of algorithms and softwares we are using. In the same time, we created that art piece actually for the Sparks event at the CERN, and we exhibit the art piece inside of that place. And we try to understand how machine sees us if we can fit the AI with the scientific data. And it was interesting point. We tried to create the self-portrait from that machine perception, but it's not just about the shape of the human. Also, it's about inside of us, even for the nanoscale. And it was the interesting, the outputs we get it. It's so poetic. So every 8 seconds, it's happening in our body, but from the machine perception, it looks like that. And it's so complex. You can see the complexity of that universe. In the same time, we received the invitation from the SpaceX project. There's the Institute machines. Institute machines, the last year, that was a kind of the art performance. And they wanted to create the first permanent digital museum surface on the moon. They invited more than 300 artists, and we were just only AI artists inside of that collection. Entire art piece recorded a nanodisc. I would like to show you. This is the rocket part. An entire art piece recorded a nanodisc in New York in NanoLab, each frame of the artwork. But we also put the entire Wikipedia raw DNA codes from the humanity. And so it means somehow if we leave to the self-destruction, some species can rebuild the entire humanity again with that scientific biological data. And that was we were there. This is another my childhood dream came true. So this is the 1972, the first landing. The other one is the 2024 from our side. And we received the invitation, Cannes Film Festival. We exhibit the same art piece, VR version at the Cannes, and that's the first time for the festival featured the AI new media artwork. And also out at London, we prepared the publicly available version of it. And that's the artwork, by the way. We can open the sound. And this is the moment of our moon landing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Honestly, it is work that I do feel like has to be seen and experienced and taken in. But obviously, I mean, AI has reached a certain inflection point, socially speaking. I'll give you a microphone. See which one works. That one should be fine. And I will come to questions at the end. So whoever asks a question first, I'll give a free water bottle just as a motivation, so we avoid that awkward moment. But because we're at a point where all of a sudden the eyes are on this technology, but machine learning tools have existed for a long time, and it's something that you did not get involved with overnight either. So when did your interest in data science and data and the potential to visualize that data really begin for you? Like, what was the impetus?
Actually, when we graduated to Visual Communication Design Department, second year of the college, we strictly want to create something unique with the data. And during that time, as you know, the computers has not enough to power the CPU and GPU. And then it's not, how can I say, enough the understanding to the huge amount of the data and integrate to our creative pipeline. But in the beginning, just for integration, art science and technology, how we can increase our perception and daily life with the art and data. And then at the same time, we want to make the real. Because yes, behind that statement, there's a just cool abstract animation maybe. But behind that, the cool abstraction, there is the complex experiential creative pipeline with the multiple tools, with the multiple softwares. Also, the academic statement is amazing. We always put a kind of the academic statement for each artwork. So if you can understand to the idea, flow, statement, tools, and everything, actually too many fields coming together for making art. And there is also architectural, physical object, end of the day. It's not just the screen. So it means you have to face the physical rules of our world, and then we're trying to increase into our perception. We're trying to see into behind the walls. We're trying to understanding and research between the virtual and real world with that kind of the audiovisual equipments. So there are multiple approach when we create the new media artworks and including to the data. But data scientific part interesting because we are not scientists, we are artists. So it means every time we were working with the scientists, understanding to the data in very well, because we would like to use the right data for the right purpose. For example, 2018, we created the world first a kind of the NASA data AI sculpture in China, and we want to use the Kepler telescope data archive because the Kepler recorded the exoplanet data, which is the life exists, possible. But when we downloaded data, we couldn't understand because we are not astrophysicists. So we decided to collaborate with the exactly director of the Kepler telescope project, Dame Gelino. She was working for that project more than 10 years, who is the perfect person. And during the working with the scientists, it's so amazing educational process between us. I mean, and then there's infinite possibilities, collaboration between the scientists and artists. It's two-way inspiration. So that entire data and cold numbers represent the scientific conclusions for them. But for us, we are looking to that data from the artistic expression. And when we generate the art piece and when they see that art piece from that number, it's a huge inspiration for them. Also, educational process, during the educational process, we learned too many things about the exoplanets, supernovas, from the expertise people.
I think one thing I really want to understand more is the artistic intentionality behind each piece. Like, for example, we'll take Mother Earth outside.
Okay.
you know, okay, we want to do something with climate data.
Uh-huh.
In terms of how that becomes this sculpture,
Yeah.
what is it that you try? What do you think? Do you think like, okay, we want to give people a certain feeling, we want to evoke a certain vibe, for lack of a better word? Like, where does the art begin within that data?
Oh, by the way, may I show the MotherEarth data
Absolutely.
journey? Maybe it might be the better. Okay, this is the
If we can open up the feedback to the computer, is that possible?
yes.
If it's working?
No.
No, not working yet.
Okay, according to the MotherEarth, it's a little bit complicated because that was the idea, the climate change data using, but also we would like to merge our rest of the other art pieces around the world. Wait.
Yeah, so you have 3 installations.
Yeah, 3 installations.
Where are the other 2?
The other one is the Mexico City,
Mexico
and the
City.
other one is the Beijing.
Beijing.
What about now? It should be work. So for the climate change data, we have been doing that kind of installation last 6 years around, and we created multiple installations around the world using to do that climate change data. That was the series. But we always have a dream how we can merge rest of our other permanent installation as a one installation. So for this version of the monolith, let me explain. We are getting data, 20 different satellites in real time. And that data represent to the climate change, like a carbon emission, also oceans, winds, temperature, and every environmental data. And there's an AI algorithm starting to do painting from that data archived with the different type of the AI classifications. Then after that, it's going to the monolith in real time. But it's not enough. Also, the monolith starting to talk with our other installations. The one of them in Mexico City, the other one is the Beijing. So it's collectively creation between the 2 permanent and 1 temporary installation. That's why we called the first cross-continental real-time AI climate change sculpture. So why we did? Because every continent has a different problems about the climate change. For example, in Beijing, air pollution is so terrible. I was there. And then the Dubai, there is a huge climate change. Everyone, last year, the flood, right? In desert, it's crazy. And Mexico City has the water problem. So you can understand different problems, but the reason of the climate change. And the main reason, humanity. So that's why when we create something like this, our main purpose, taking attention and giving the inspiration to the people, this is a problem we should understand and we should take action. And the people doesn't like to just yelling to do that problem, you know, in a progressive way. But you can use the universal language of the math and art, taking attention and thinking about that. When we put, for example, that climate change on the public in Beijing, every day, near the people, they have to see it, and they have to read the description, and they have to think about it again and again and again. So that was the main purpose.
But in terms of the colors that you choose, the sounds that you choose, just the feeling that you want to evoke with this, you know, Stanley Kubrickian monolith.
Yeah.
What's the decision making that goes into that?
So, like everyone, we really love the science fiction movies and stories, horror. We believe the vampires, zombies, and aliens. So according to the design of the art piece, we always try to be dark because of this is our style. Actually, we really love to put something like this. But the inspiration coming from the science. It was 17 years ago, I saw the famous paper from the Alan Turing. The Alan Turing published 1950 that paper. And according to that paper, Alan Turing asked the question, can machine think? And 1950, that question, it was the timeless because of during that time, computers made by wooden, right? And it's changed the entire our mindset and creative pipeline. Then after that, but somehow, during the design process, we would like to integrate our obsessive decisions, like, for example, shape, exactly, you write the space, so they see the reference, or the editing, it looks like much more giving unstable movements and editing, so you cannot guess what's coming next, as a graphical, as a sound, as a editing. So that's why I really love to put that in, out, and crescendo too many times inside of that installation. It's not for the meditation, actually. It's much more like the cinematic experience. That's why I think that was one of the very nice the comment from the Washington Post when we create the Parallel Universe exhibition in Washington. It was 6 years ago. They called that artwork between Matrix and Alfred Hitchcock movie. So the exactly right definition, because of they are also our heroes. So it means the statement coming from the science, inspiration coming from science, but the design coming from that kind of the people and genres.
In terms of the way that, because obviously AI it's sort of misnamed. You know, it has its roots in science fiction. We think of actual Alan Turing. We think of intelligence in these sorts of ways. Obviously, we're not at a point where these things can actually think for themselves. They're basically just tools which we can, baby-brained guide through this sort of intelligence. But how does the AI shape your understanding of these concepts in reverse? And then does that fuel the art and what you want to do next? Like, what surprises you about this process?
Oh, there are too many happy accidents. Actually, we can say that it's so flexible. For example, say 6 years ago, it was totally surprise for every output because it was so new, right? For every algorithm, when we receive something, oh, it's amazing, let's make it another thing. But for example, right now, it's not too much surprises. So it means at that time, the every output can give the surprise. But right now, actually, our satisfaction behind the build complex creative pipeline. For example, this one. So as an artist, that satisfaction is merge the 3 continents with more than 150 people, and the multiple computers and softwares running simultaneously for creating that complex art piece. That's the actually amazing approach. And for the machine learning, according to your question, the process, we are putting the rules to the AI as an artist, because we don't interesting to getting to the fancy visuals from the prompt or something like that. We are interested in making real collaboration with the algorithm. For example, when we get the dirty data, you are using the AI classifications codes and you are getting the latent spaces right. But after the latent spaces, we really love to use that output as a material for the design, and we are making design. Then after that, we are feeding AI again from our designs and getting to new outputs. And when we make the endlessly ping-pong moment between the algorithm, us, until the getting to satisfaction of the visualization, then after that, yes, this is nice. And then we can show it. So generally, the process like this, so that's why there are too many surprises before the final output.
How much does the evolution of the technology itself change really what you're able to do within these sorts of things? For example, like you were saying, with the poetic AI installation in Paris, you were building that data set. You were feeding the algorithm. Yeah. You were feeding all the information. You're curating it in a certain way. Obviously, now that ChatGPT, Midjourney, Grok, all of these different data sets are getting to a certain maturity, is that something you interact with, or you purposefully eschew that and continue to build your own data sets? Like, how far do you want to push your own limitations, or keep your own limitations, and avoid getting into something else, like to keep it your own? You get what I mean?
Yeah, I got your point. Right now, it's so accessible with the $20, and then everyone can create very fancy art pieces, right? But the thing is, from our side, when we collaborate the different algorithms, it's about the total idea. So for each artwork, before any algorithm, before any technological feature, no, we are not interested. The first of all idea. Then after that, according to that idea, how we can increase the exist technology, we always focus on that. Because if you focus on the technology, AI algorithm, then everything, you will stuck in that genre, and you will create the similar things like others. But if you forget the entire that things, just focus on the idea. We always making the reverse engineering with Eylül, our creative director, last 15 years. We first of all designing final outputs. What's supposed to be idea, what's supposed to be visualization, what's supposed to be architectural experience. Then after that, when we create the whole PDF, more than 45 people trying to make it real with that direction exactly. It's not easy because the general Unreal Engine, diffusion models, GAN algorithms, TSIN algorithms, or different type of the algorithms giving to the standard outputs or the guessable outputs, and there is no surprise. But when you push the team getting to our direction, it's push to them the learning new things, the hacking the system, how we can get to that kind of the visualization from that standard tools. I think this is the game-changing the attitude. Last 15 years, we made exactly like that direction. So that was our main trick. And last 1.5 minutes, really?
Okay, I'm still going to turn to questions. I do have one question to ask you quickly. Do you have a dream project that you would like to do, and what's stopping you from doing it so far?
Oh, too many dream projects, not one. It's never stop. Actually, from beginning of the business, me and Taylor just focus on doing the one art piece 17 years ago or something like that. And we don't care about anything. And when we started that project, there is no client, there is no money, nothing. And we decided to went to bank, taking the money, build the installation. And when we built the installation, just put it online, we became famous. Too many invitations came to us. And the time after time, we increased that field. And every time, we focus on our dreams during our business. Still, we have too many dreams, especially some of them will come true at this year. But the last one is the one of the main dream, the sending something from us to the space. The another dreams on the Mars. Yeah, too many dreams.
Hopefully not too far off. Anyhow, do we have any questions? Right here. I'll bring you a microphone here. There you go.
Thanks. Yeah, you had like an interesting quote in one of the slides. I think it was like the data is the paint, the algorithm is the paintbrush.
Yeah.
I think like if you follow the natural progression of that metaphor, you can land on the data engineer or the data scientist or the engineer is the artist. I'm curious to get your perspective on that. Do you feel like we're heading down a path where people from more technical backgrounds are displacing those who come from conventional art backgrounds, or do you have a different perspective on that?
You mean if you are the technical expertise, you can create something like this? Am I right?
Yeah. I guess like going off that kind of metaphor, or do you think that people from conventional art backgrounds always have to be in that loop there?
Yeah, of course, for the technical background, but actually it's more than important technical about the vision and the idea. Because, for example, me and Taylor, we learned the coding, designing, 3D, animation, and everything. If you want to create by myself, we can do that. But forget that technical background and focus on the idea and vision. It's always changed the mindset. And when we built more than 45 people as an in-house team, we could make much more bigger and complex projects. So the technical background, yes, you have to know it for directing to the team and making real your project and ideas. But without the technical also, it's possible.
Do we have time for one more question? Sierra, good.
Hello. Firstly, thank you very much for the nice talk. I wanted to ask you something about this sort of inevitable kind of secondary data which occurs from your artworks, because they sort of exist and we have a reactionism to them, and you have this incredible scope globally of people and different cultures who are experiencing them. And is there a sense of data that you can kind of, or are maybe collecting from how people are in one way reacting to the themes and the topics that you're bringing forward with your artwork, but even this concept of looking at the world through this form of communication, through this form of art? And is that something that...
So your question about the people making emotional connection between our art pieces?
Yeah, I think in the sense of, because there's so much happening in the world with AI, and then where does this kind of interaction with AI and art fall into that, and what kind of value and effect is that having? Because of the amount that you're able to cover with the work that you're doing, it's quite interesting to know if you are kind of seeing certain patterns or seeing certain ways that different people, different cultures are also accepting, or are their openness to such ways of looking at our world, at the data of our world and the reality of our existence, essentially.
Yeah, actually, when we created data integrated and AI integrated artworks around the world without any without thinking about any culture, any background, any ages. The thing is that we are using the universal language of the art, and there's a amazing approach, integration of the science, which is another universal language. So every culture, every culture, people can find their own emotional connection between the art piece, which is great. And then no age, the 7 years old boy and girl, they can find another story inside of the art piece, or the 70 years old lady. And this is our main purpose, actually, trying to touch into their souls. So that's why we created another art piece inside of the booth, the AAG one. And I think this is the best installation, the showing to the people feelings from the machine perception, and they can deep dive into their feelings, and maybe it might be inspiration for them. Yeah. Thank you.
Amazing. Well, we have to wrap there, unfortunately, but thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us. And please join me in welcoming, or in thanking Ferdi Alici.